Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show how to add custom sound and custom graphics to your missions for Descent and Mansions of Madness in the Valkyrie editor. Furthermore, I will show how you can localize the text of your missions. So let's start with creating a new quest. We will call it Sound, Graphics and Localization Demo. And as usual, we will create an event we call start with a start trigger. And this event has a follow-up event which will now spawn a token. We'll call it add token, and we will go to add components here and spawn a new token. This token will be a person token. Token zombie sound. So I have shown before how you can add the default audio to your missions using this audio section here. In our case, we want to have a custom sound we have created or maybe downloaded somewhere. So if you want to use already existing sounds, you can go to a website like freesound.org. Just be sure if you use those free sounds or something similar that you add to your mission in the mission text where you got the sound from and who was the creator, because that's connected to the license which these sounds are available from. In my case, I've created the sound myself. It's a pretty short roar sound for a zombie. And I can show you this here because my video recording software is currently not playing sounds from my machine here. But this sound is in the .wav file format, and this format is not supported by Valkyrie. Therefore, we have to transform it. And this can be done using the software Audacity, which is free to use. So that's why I'm going to open Audacity now. And I will open the .wav file in the program. And the only thing I need to do now is export the file again using the file export function and export as OGG. So it can have the same name. Don't need any metadata tags. And that's it. The file is here, in the new format. And now we need to add this file to our Valkyrie mission. So where is Valkyrie located on the file system, or better, where are my missions located on the file system? You can find it in the app data folder of your Windows system. So using the built-in variable %appdata%, you will get to the app data. And here we will have a folder Valkyrie. And for Descent, we would go to D2E, and for Mansions of Madness, we would go to MOM. And in both folders, we have an editor folder. And here we now have our newly created folder. So in my case, this was a demo I created yesterday. We don't need it here. But this is our newly created mission. When you create a new mission, the folder name will always be editor quest 1, 2, 3, and so on. But you can see which mission it is by going to the quest.ini. No, not the quest.ini, the localization English. And here is the quest name of the quest. So as I made it before, sound, graphics, and localization demo. I'll rename now this folder to be sure that I'll find it afterwards again. So sounds, graphics, local demo. And now I will add a new folder in this folder here. I'll call it sounds. And in this sounds folder, I will add now my OGG file. Okay, that's all we need for the sounds. Now we can go back into Valkyrie. And if we now click here at audio again, it will reload all the files. And we will see that our zombie sound OGG here has been added. So now every time we click on this token, a zombie sound sounds. So let's prepare our event again a little bit. We'll move the camera to our token and we'll use the highlight function and say, when you click on this token, add this token, a zombie sound will be started. So let's test this. And here's our zombie sound. So that's all we needed to know about the sounds. Next, we will go to the images or graphics. And for this, we will not add another token, but instead a button. And for adding this button, we will add another event called add button. And instead of a token, we will now add a so-called UI component. We call it button map. And positioning those buttons is a little bit complicated. I will first set a text now and call it show map. This will now be shown in the center of the screen. And now I will change the size of this button and the aspect ratio. And now I will move it to the top and decrease the text size a little bit. Oh, this was too small. Okay, and it will have a border. Okay, perfect. So let's test this again. And here's our show map button. For some reason, the border wasn't shown in the editor just before. I think this is just a rendering issue. And now we want to add a map which will be shown on the screen. For this, there will be two follow-up events. The button will not show any text afterwards, but the follow-up events will show or not show the map. The first event will be called show map, and the other event will be called hide map. So we will, as usual, add a button here which will not be shown, and we will assign a variable called map visible equals 1. And the event will test for map visible equals 0. So this means when the map is not shown, we will show the map and execute this event. And when the map is already shown, we will execute the next event I'm going to create now. So our hide event, hide map. Don't forget the button. And assign map visible to 0 and test for map visible equals 1. Okay, and now we want to have our graphic. So similar to the sounds, they are already built-in graphics. So I'm gonna go back to my show map event now and add a new component. It's another UI event, and we will call it map. And we will first check for the built-in images. So let's click in here. This will load a second. And as you can see, there are already a lot of different maps in here. So let's maybe use this one. It's a little bit huge, so I'll reduce it to half the size. Okay, cool. It's the numerical map. And now we need to hide it too in our hide map event. So we will use the remove components logic here. Okay, that's all. Let's test it. Zombie, our show map button, and here's our map. And when we click again, the map is hidden. Pretty cool. So now the same if we want to add a custom map for the game. So let's now add our custom image. Same as the sound, always watch out for copyright issues. So that's why I have my fantastic custom map already built in my demo here. and we will add it to the Valkyrie folder again. And I will create a new folder called images here now. Here's my wonderful map. And now the same, if we go back to our UI component and click Add Images, our new image will appear here. Okay, perfect. And now if we click Show Map, our custom image will be shown. And one last thing before we get to the localization. Currently, our image were in the same folder as our other mission files, but we can also put it in another folder or in a parent folder. For this, I'm going to create a main folder here now. We will call it Sounds Campaign Demo. We'll put in our mission file, and I will move both of these files here to the Sounds Campaign Demo folder. And now I need to manually change the path using the two dots like this. And the same for our sound file. So our token uses the sound, and therefore we will use the two dots slash here too. And if we now reload the campaign, don't save here, this will override your manual changes on the files. Go to Quest Editor again, and it should be still working. Yes, our sound and our map. If we now look at the path set here in the UI map, we can see the two dots, but we cannot change this manually, so it will only show in the editor view the files which are in the same folder as our any files. Therefore, those manual changes have to be always done in the files directly. So we are now already in the folder for our mission, and now we will have a look at the localization. All the texts you have in your mission will always be in the localization.languagename.txt file. And we can see our texts here now. And now to add another language, so in my case I will add German, copy the file, call it .german. And now we will add our file to the quest using the quest.ini file. And here is the section quest text, and we will copy this line and add localization.german.txt. And now the quest knows that when the language in Valkyrie is set to German, it should load all the texts from the localization.german.txt. If one of the texts is missing, so like this, it would always go back to the fallback language, which is set to English in our case. The fallback language is also shown on the quest.ini. So here default language is set, and this is normally always English. Okay, now I will start translating the stuff here. So this will be Sounds und Grafiken Demo. This will be quest 1, and our continue button will say weiter, which is the German word for continue. And this text will say, falls ein Klick auf diesen Token lässt ein Zombie-Geräusch tönen. Okay, and show map will be Karte anzeigen. One last thing, we need to change here the first line from English to German, otherwise it will not find the file by language. Okay, that's all. And now if we go back to our mission again, don't save it here, you made manual changes, so just go back to the main menu. Now I'll change the language to German. go back to the scenario editor, and we can already see here, this is the German text, and all those texts will now be in German too. Oh, we have some special characters in here, so we shouldn't do this in the notepad, but in a more useful editor. But the rest is working fine. One interesting thing for the localization, but also for the normal texts, is that you can reuse parts of your texts. So we could now say we don't always want to write continue here at the buttons. Instead, we want to only define that the word continue should be used for all buttons. For this, we will just cut this and add a new entry here. We will call it continue button. Make a comma. A comma is always important for the separation of the parts. Add continue in here, and now we will add here bracket QST name of our line, closing bracket, and we will copy this to all of the other positions. Okay, like this. And now this text will be reused at all the other positions. Just to make another example, we could add a rule text maybe, which is reused at other positions. So we will say rule zombie. This text says zombies have an increased speed of 4 in this encounter. Now we will add this zombie rule text here at the end of this position. QST, name of my line, and now the text will be added. Okay, let's test this again. I'll change the language to English again. And now I will start the quest. The text says continue, and here is the rules text for the zombie. So that's already everything you need to know for the translations. The good thing is the translations are not really connected to everything else, so you could just give the translation file to a translator, and afterwards the translator could just work with this file and translate the stuff. So that's all I wanted to show for the sounds, graphics, and localization stuff. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.